in the plainest terms, that's Cushing saying if Richy and Santi are on the field, I want Richy in the 10.
Turnbull was a dog. Like enough where I think he should start next week. Genuinely.
That is. Sands somehow has the captain's armband.
I thought that was cool to see.
But I also feel weird because Chanot was playing. I don't know how that happens. It's like Chanot went to Luxembourg and he came back and then he had to hit him with like the 50. Like, what do you say? FE for? Like, all of a sudden he's like, now this dude has the band. But I think he's quietly been amazing. I mean, maybe.
Amazing, yeah. Oh, he's looking like a 9 right there again. Like the other week. It's like, no, he's not.
So if Thiago Martins' header goes in, is he looking like a 9 from the center back position? No.
Bro, it looks like a clown. God, I hate these announcers.
All right, well, just run it again, I guess. All right, so we just haven't done this in quite a long time.
At least we caught it relatively early.
Yeah. We've recorded full hour-long episodes before, back when we used to talk ourselves to death, in the episode 10 days.
Back when we used to put the editor through hell.
Yeah. And only to wrap up recording and go, oh, we didn't click the recording button. So we just did that now.
So welcome to episode 95.
Yeah, welcome to episode 95. Tough for us because we just talked a little bit about it, but the conversation that we just noticed that we weren't recording in was kind of putting Santi on notice, I guess, kind of in the same way that Magno got on notice this game. We talked a little bit about how obviously it was super surprising that Segal got the start here over Tales at the 9. Probably nobody would have really expected it, although a lot of us were calling for it. But I think in that way, Tales got a pass, right? 6 games, 5 or 6 games to figure it out because probably the amount of talent behind him was lacking. And I think what we were just talking about before you guys heard it is Santi doesn't necessarily get the same pass because the talent that's behind him that's knocking on the door at the moment, that is Richy Ledesma or even Keaton when we saw him in the advanced position when you asked Cushing. Both have looked much, much better than Santi has outside of that one game at Yankee Stadium where he was the Santi that we know and love, the DP Santi that we need.
Well, even in that game at Yankee Stadium, a lot of the good stuff he was doing came off of the right wing. It wasn't from the middle.
Yeah.
A lot of the good stuff came from the right wing.
Or it was built by somebody else.
Like, right.
You talked about GP with his KDB-esque passes
right
before they heard it. And, on that goal that Santi gets, I always love to give credit to the players because, even when you have like a Hey Bear that's a cherry picker, like they do have to be in that position and they do have to finish that ball. And Santi is obviously, sprinting one-on-one and he has the keeper to beat. And whenever that happened, we talked a lot about how more times than not we've seen that not go in. So he does get his flowers, but really that play, that goal is built off the back of GP playing the perfect ball to put Santi in one-on-one.
Exactly. And it's when you see the GPs come in and the Ledesmas, and even the Keatons, like you said, who have the vision, who are constantly scanning, who have the ability to make passes that Santi just doesn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you the amount of times where Santi has the ball versus the Revs and he's sprinting towards the far post of the goal and there's 2 runners making runs in on goal and he's not even looking at them.
Mm-hmm.
He's strictly looking for the moment that he can get a shot off.
Yeah.
And then he realizes there's not one and he plays it out wide to the right, which is just, yes, it may lead to a cross, and maybe that's what Cushing wants, but it just, if you're in a position and you're creative and you can make passes and you believe in yourself and you have that confidence, those are balls that you're at least trying. Yep. Those are balls on the other side that we saw Gil trying and completing. And, that's another reason that made me think that Santi just may not be a 10 and he's just not cut for it in the same way that Tales right now isn't cut for the 9. Was seeing on the other side this demon at number 10.
Right.
Really like putting the heartbeat, the engine of a team, putting passes together, being the heart of the attack, and really bringing that team forward. You saw it on the other side, and then you saw Santi really crumbling under the pressure of the 10.
Yeah, and I think there's been an acknowledgement from the coaching staff and from Cushing that we may have better guys suited for the role. Obviously, second half, Richy ends up coming in later in the game, and at that moment, Santi gets pushed up to the 9, and Richy assumes that 10 role. I mean, that in the plainest terms, that's Cushing saying if Richy and Santi are on the field, I want Richy in the 10.
Right.
That's as plain as day. That's how it comes. And, I wouldn't mind. I think, last episode we called for the fact that, GP needs to be benched. You said, see how he is pregame, see how he is when you send him to warm up, how he's acting on the bench, and kind of see if you can light that fire underneath him. And obviously GP comes in not long after half, and ends up getting an assist off a corner. I mean, it's perfect that it happens that way. Because now GP, he has that fire underneath him. Like, yeah, you should have played me.
Right.
Like, I came in and I got my assist, and now maybe next game he's like, I'm going to show you why I still need to be starting. I wouldn't be surprised if GP got the start. He's back in the starting lineup next week. But maybe that's something that Santi needs. Maybe he needs Ledesma to start the first half. And if Ledesma, he ends up doing poorly, he's had 2 appearances now. Both have looked good. I don't think it'd be out of the realm of possibilities that he might start to struggle at some point.
Yeah. But I think he deserves a start for sure.
He's earned it.
I think you're going to see a team very, very similar to what ended the game in New England start versus Atlanta.
Yeah.
I think that because that's the team that was really fighting the hardest. That's the team that looked the best. That's the team that responded to adversity.
Yeah.
And was creative and was pushing forward and doing things correctly. So I wouldn't doubt that you see Thales, Santi, GP, and Ledesma as our attackers, and you see probably not Alfredo. It'll probably be Sands and Keaton again with Alfredo coming off the bench, and Kufre at left back.
Yeah. So at some point in the episode, I wanted to talk a little bit about Kufre because I don't know. I feel like I'm ready for like the Kevin O'Toole experiment a little bit.
He came in and didn't really look good though.
I feel like he looked as good as Kufre's looked. I feel like I haven't seen anything.
Kufre to me looks like a proper left back. Mm-hmm. Like he looks like a complete proper left back. Whether he's 100% in tackles or in the right position all the time or not giving up cheap fouls and stuff like that. I don't think anyone on our team is safe from those things.
Yeah.
He's not somebody that's standing out to me as like a bad spot as much as other places on the field. Like Santi stinking it up at 10 is 10 times worse than like a 6 performance from Kufre at left back.
So Kufre is like, to you, he's like a role player. Like he's not one of the stars, but he's getting the job done.
He's doing well enough that he deserves a starting spot, but he doesn't really deserve to finish games if we're not seeing it from him. He's not like a Chanot or Thales really. I mean, Thales, despite performance, is somebody that you keep on unless he's injured.
Yeah.
He's not one of those guys, but you got to start him.
I guess so where my thought process comes from is I think a majority of our attack, it's been being built through the right. I mean, it's been Lenich, obviously the engine back there. And I don't know if
Turnbull.
Did we even get a conversation about? I don't think our conversation about Lenich got in, right?
No.
So obviously, kid.
No, nothing. Not even our lineup.
Yeah.
We got to go back and touch on the lineup.
Obviously, Lenich is a monster. This would be his 3rd game in 9 days, playing 2 full 90s for Slovenia U22. Super unlucky on the own goal. I think you talked about it. That was missed too.
That was something that honestly should have been 1-0. The second goal by Gill, which was amazing, should have been 2-0. And realistically, we lose that game 2-1. In my opinion, that's how it should have went.
Yeah.
I think Revs fans, you're right to feel hard done. That was a ridiculous call. I don't think that bow, whatever, however you say his name, I don't think he's affecting the play at all. Even from the camera angle, he's not in Brazza's line of sight. Brazza didn't react late. All around, it was a bad call. And if that was against us, I would be so angry.
Yeah.
I'd be ridiculously angry. So, you got to call it both ways. So, yeah, I don't even know. Yeah, other than that own goal, which should have been an own goal for Lenich, he had a really good game for how tired he should have been and how much his legs were hurting.
And you dropped his name, Turnbull, too.
Turnbull was a dog.
Yeah.
Like enough where I think he should start next week. Genuinely.
That is just...
If Alenic
and Tavon both can't
rest.
go and there's not another right back on the roster, yeah, Turnbull should start.
If Alenic can't go, yeah.
and Tavon can't go. Okay. And we don't have Jason.
Well, I'm assuming Tavon is going to stay hurt.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming he's going to be hurt for another week.
Yeah.
Turnbull was a dog.
Well, so here's the interesting thing about Turnbull. I think
he's just a little tall. That's what looks a little.
And he
funky.
looks like Keaton. And I'm always like, why is Keaton?
He looks like a center back. He looks like a center back, and I'm like, what is that dude? He's so tall.
Yeah. Well, so my only thing with Turnbull is I think we've now seen 2 performances from him, and the way that the contract structure works from MLS Next Pro 2, I think he's like at his limit. Like if he wants to play again, we have to give him a first team contract.
He deserves it.
Yeah. Well,
he's a dog.
So we've seen one very poor performance from Turnbull. We've seen one very
good.
We're
calling that poor?
I mean,
he just didn't have an effect. I don't think. I think the team was really getting.
I think that was the episode where. So, it must have been Nashville.
I just didn't know who he was.
It was Nashville because that was the episode where Hack was getting grilled for causing a foul that led to a goal, and then I think Turnbull comes in for the dying minutes. Post 90th minute, Turnbull causes a foul that gives them a very dangerous free kick. I don't think a goal came from it, but the only reason it's burned in my mind because I was like, if all the crazy people are going to kill Hack for that, then we need to kill Turnbull for almost doing the same thing in a more important moment. So I guess that's for me. I guess that's where
like he didn't play bad.
Where he loses a step a little bit.
I just saw this random white dude come in and I was like, who is that? Like I've never even heard that name before. And he was kind of a ghost.
Yeah, I mean,
it wasn't a ghost this game.
Yeah,
He looked like
taken away.
Someone who could put in a proper cross. He was getting back on defense. He was doing what there was one time where he got bullied off a header, and I was like, you need to be stronger and better. Mm-hmm. But I thought he put in a really, really good performance in a tough spot, coming in off the bench on the road, which is something that he had to do before, which maybe hardened him a little bit.
Yeah.
But I thought he was really, really good. And if Tavon can't go and Alenic needs a little rest, I feel comfortable starting him.
Yeah. If he's the only
That's how I should have said it before. Yeah. I said it a little like a United fan before.
Like the way that you're saying it is like if our other 2 starting right backs can't go, like I would be okay with Turnbull. Like you would newsflash, you're gonna have to be okay with Turnbull if Tavon and Alenic can't play.
But I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
Comfortable.
No, I agree with you though. He did look good. There was one play that actually really surprises everybody up in the press box. Like there wasn't much noise going on. It was similar to our Toronto one when we saw
that one was like people were like if you
it's quiet in the press box.
It was like if you talk, you're getting COVID in your mouth.
Well, it's also weird because Gillette has the press box where it's closed air, and there's no windows to open, and I feel like that always makes for such a weird environment because like the
sound is so
you would never know that there's 20,000 people like literally on the other side of the glass that's right in front of you. Like it's dead silent. They have Apple TV running on the monitors,
silent,
no sound,
completely quiet,
and everybody is just like being professional. I guess like they don't want to like react.
Not
like
even
fans.
like I remember,
and we're not like that.
I remember like opening my sandwich so quietly so I didn't make crinkles. I was like, oh, if I crinkle, somebody's gonna like be mad at me. I don't know why.
Yeah, but that was the vibe in there. But as it got closer to the end of the game, it got a little more animated. Like you're just like, ooh. Like as somebody does something on the field, and Turnbull created one of those moments. I can't remember the exact play, but he's coming down into the box. He beats a defender and then he plays it back in right to the top of the box. Yeah, I think it went to Santi.
That's the pass that's burned in my mind.
Yeah,
it was a heads up play.
It was like nobody knew that it was coming. Unfortunately, I don't think Santi expected it either, or whoever it was that received it, and nothing came from it. But like, dude, if that ball is going to Tati, 100%, that's a goal.
That's like the advanced mind that I saw in him, to where I saw that play and I'm like, okay, Tavon and Alenic both are playing that as a cross to the back post.
Yeah.
And probably blasting it too far. Whereas somebody with football IQ like him actually saw the man at the top of the box and thought that's the better pass.
Yeah.
So that's why I gave Turnbull his flowers.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, I would feel comfortable from the I don't know how long it was, 20, 15 minutes that we saw him towards the end of the game. I agree. I would feel comfortable. That makes me more interested in watching NYCFC 2 games. If he doesn't get called up, like, I want to see
like you just said,
what he's doing.
It may not be an option to see him there anymore.
Yeah. Well, and that's like a whole weird thing too. So I guess just to break it down.
But I thought we signed him to a first team contract already.
So to my understanding is the way when you're calling up an MLS Next Pro player to the first team.
Well, because we called him up for Nashville,
Mm-hmm.
but then we actually physically signed him to the first team on loan.
I don't think so. So
I'm pretty sure.
you get 4 short-term loans, which are the length of a week. All right, so this is, hey, by the way, this is us explaining MLS roster rules, which I don't know if the executives at the MLS know the roster rules, so we'll try our best. But so they get 4 week-long short-term contracts. So at this moment, he used 3. But of those 4, you can only make 2 appearances. So now we've got Nashville and we've got Revs. So now they have to give him a proper first-team contract if they want him to even appear to play 1 minute for the rest of the season.
Do you think he deserves it?
I think that we've had enough issues with our right backs early that you might want a guy like that for dire moments.
And I didn't want to be crazy, but with football IQ and athletic ability,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he could be a Roach type player.
Yeah.
Where he can, like, let's say we started having an injury crisis at defensive mid.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he could, with that passing and football IQ, I feel like he could fill that type of role.
Yeah. No, I could see it. And, I mean, he obviously, the reason why he got that first appearance was because of, I think it was it international, right? Or was Tavon might have just been hurt, and Alenic wasn't here yet. So now I think so. Alenic wasn't here yet, and Tavon was hurt. Tavon played, but came out. Yeah. But we're gonna have international duty again. We obviously know for sure Alenic will not be around, and Tavon at the moment. I think this is his second knock in 6 weeks, so hopefully he can stay healthy. But even if Tavon's healthy, you obviously need a second choice on the roster. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I do think he's earned it. But we can talk a little bit about the midfield with you mentioning him, potentially being the Roach type player. Shocking, I think, to me, Sands obviously somehow has the captain's armband on his arm. It's like
I thought that was cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, we asked Rocha about that actually in our episode with him, and Rocha had praises. He thought, yeah, for sure, Sands could definitely do it. Maybe has to be a little bit more vocal,
which I think we've seen.
Oh, for sure, yeah. He's come into his own, and I think he's building. He probably definitely feels a bit more experienced than a lot of the players on the roster, with legit European and Champions League experiences under his belt. But I also feel weird because Chanot was playing. Like, I don't know how that happens. It's like Chanot went to Luxembourg and he came back, and then he had to hit him with like the 50. Like, what do you say FB for? Like, yeah. All of a sudden he's like, now this dude has the ban. Like, I am so confused just like how that happens.
I don't know. I really don't know. I think maybe they wanted communication a little bit further up the pitch. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's what it was.
I can see that, yeah.
Maybe they thought that it would be a tough away game, so they want somebody closer to everybody that can communicate and kind of get messages across. Maybe it's a tactical type thing.
Yeah, I mean, and to add to the weirdness, when Chanot is gone, Sands plays a full 90, but Thiago Martins gets the armband. Like, why would Sands have not gotten the armband when Thiago had it? It's such a weird. It must have been a tactical wanting somebody up the field.
Yes, it's either tactical or there's something in training that triggers it each week. If it's this by committee type of thing, like
that'd be sick.
If you were the top one in training for the week or something like that, I don't know.
That is really sick.
It could be something like that. Maybe that's something we ask Cushing in the next press conference. Just kind of understanding a little bit deeper into what goes into who's wearing the captain's armband.
Yeah.
But yeah, he did it. I didn't think that he played all that bad. I think he was kind of average. You thought maybe he might not have had a great game.
I mean, so obviously I think I think we hate to do the thing where we put goals on people's heads, but like
Literally, Alenish did put a goal on his own head, though.
yeah,
He did. He put
happen.
a goal on his own head.
And was bailed out by. And hey, by the way, referees, how about for once giving us
a point,
something to work with? Yeah, I guess.
Point back.
First time. So if we were at minus 80 points from the ref all time in club history, now we're at minus 79.
Well, so you know what happened apparently. Well, I don't know. I haven't read the breakdown since, but they were saying on the broadcast that that the VAR review was down for the ref to be able to go see it. So if in that case the video review is down and the ref can't physically go on the field to go see it, he has to take the referee in New York's word and his call for it. So the ref in New York apparently called and said no
the ref
goal.
where?
In New York.
Oh, okay.
In New York.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, talking about Sands, hate to do the putting a goal on somebody's head, although I feel like you're always forced to. He obviously gave up the possession that led to that goal. Now we can have conversations that Richy should step harder to keep that from becoming a shot. But I think it was Boo, right? He tucks it perfect.
No, it was Gil.
Gil, one of the two, who tucks it bottom right corner perfectly.
Who was doing his best Messi impression all game.
Yeah, I was gonna say best Maxi impression. I didn't realize that he was like as small as he is.
He's really good.
We were looking from the press box and we were like, that's lit. They have children out there like holding their hands, and we were like, oh no, it's just Gil out there. I was like, oh my god, I didn't realize they had their own Messi or their own Maxi. But yeah, I mean, so Sands gives up that ball, and then I think it was literally the next possession, he gave it up again, and I'm not sure. I think it was Gil again that runs down the field one-on-one with just Thiago Martins to beat, and ends up putting a shot off target. But I mean, we were literally like very close to 2 possessions back to back given away from Sands, and being down 2-0 to show for it. Pretty harsh 5 minutes, but outside of that, I think he looked good. I don't think
on that one he took too long to make his pass. He did get tackled pretty quickly. It was unfortunate because the rest of the team in those instances should be able to bail you out. Yeah. But there's only so many times you can ask that to happen.
Right. I mean, on the second one, Martins does. Yeah. Thiago bails him out, and then.
But even on the one that we do concede, it was such a perfectly tucked ball. Yeah. It's hard to really blame anyone for that. It was just a piece of magic from Gil. And each year, like, I'm a FIFA dude. Each year I see him in the team of the season, I'm like, why?
I mean, we talked about it all last week.
Why is this dude in this team? But like seeing him truly play in that way, man, he deserves everything. Yeah. He's a dog.
And then Thiago, although Thiago does end up bailing him out, or at least doing enough to bail him out, putting himself in front of Gil in the goal, and then just loses his cool. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah. Thiago, done. I'll say, he's somebody that probably deserves. If you're looking for a vocal captain, like Thiago's the dude. Yeah. Because Thiago, when Alfredo came on and was really messing up the system, Thiago was barking at him like heavily, to where Alfredo was visibly angry. But Alfredo, I believe, was wrong. Yeah. Because Alfredo was messing up the system of us playing out of the back, and Thiago was very, very angry about it.
I mean, and on that play, Thiago was killing Sands. I mean, he was letting him have it from across the field. I mean, Sands was still more or less where he got dispossessed on their side of the ball, and then obviously Thiago's at the top of the box, doing all he can to stop it from going in. And he is giving it to Sands from way back there. I think you're right. If you want a vocal guy that's gonna take your head off if you mess up and hold you accountable.
With that voice, can you imagine getting yelled at in that smoker voice?
Yeah. But I think he's quietly been amazing. I mean, maybe
amazing. Yeah. Even like, I don't want to. We're talking about a completely different performance too. If that angry header goes in.
That was the next play. Yeah. Literally the next play.
I mean, he put anger into that thing. Unfortunately, it goes right at the keeper, but that was our best chance at that point. I thought we were going to end the game with that being our best chance.
Well, here's the thing about that too. So he obviously puts himself in the position to put his anger on the end of that header, force Petrovic to send it back for a corner kick, and the corner kick is our goal.
I think it was a little more separated.
Is it more separated?
I think a little more separated.
Well, they cut the highlights on YouTube where it was one after another.
No, yeah, it was a little more separated than that.
And my aphantasia brain is trying to remember what happened in person, and I'm like, I just
for the
see lines.
corner, it was a Ledesma kind of dribbled and had a shot.
Okay.
That was deflected out.
Okay.
And then the Gabby puts in a beautiful ball to Tales, who, has some fancy fancy footwork, and he puts it past Petrovic finally for our goal, which was unfortunate for me because I watched 92 minutes. I watched the 92 minutes. The 2 minutes that I stepped out, that's when the Tales goal happened.
I think I may have even missed it in the presser too. Cause I was typing in the group chat on Twitter. I think I was saying something. I don't know what I was saying, and then I put the phone down and they're just like, "Hey, you just missed the goal." It's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, okay, that's great, but damn.
Yeah, I wish I saw it.
But yeah, I mean, good to see Tales obviously get a goal. It's funny because the announcers obviously go, the team without a center forward.
That annoyed me.
But it's like it's a corner. He wasn't doing anything related to being a 9 or a center forward.
A header.
Yeah,
so the announcer goes, "Oh, he's looking like a 9 right there again." Like the other week, it's like, no, he's not.
So if Thiago Martins' header goes in, is he looking like a 9 from the center back position? No,
bro, it looks like a clown. God, I hate these announcers.
Yeah, they've been tough, man. I mean, what are you gonna? When the bar is set as high as it is with Ian and Joe, it's it's impossible to follow it up. But
yeah, I wanted to listen to anything else.
Yeah.
I would pay like $5 a month to listen to just Ian and Joe.
It just goes right to there.
Ian and Joe are watching Apple TV and they stream it on YouTube or something.
Yeah. But I mean that pretty much is the game. I think we'd be crazy not to talk a little bit about the rumors of Thiago going to Brazil. I don't know if it's back to Brazil, but obviously some rumors that he's leaving. I think it makes sense if the team selection that we've seen from Cushing is going to continue to be the way that it is. We've talked a lot about like what has Thiago done wrong to be put in a position where he is iced out of the lineup. Like, I don't know, maybe if we see a Malte leave at some point too, because we've kind of talked to in a similar way about Thiago and Malte, both guys Malte more so, very large part of the first team last year. Thiago Andrade, obviously always a sub, but at least doing enough to have questions about why he's not playing. So I guess it makes sense to see him go.
Yeah, well, it makes more sense with Ledesma coming. It makes more sense when you just look at that front line, and even though they're not really performing at the moment, you still think, who do I take out?
Yeah.
Like, you have this plethora of just talent, and so you just have to think, who do I take out? And you can't really do that. And if Thiago's knocking on the door saying, I want to play, I'm good enough to play, I know I am, it's tough. So, I mean, we're even forgetting Matty in that equation, and this whole equation, this whole
we
talk.
Haven't mentioned him at all this
right,
episode.
well, because he's played like shit. But
I mean, same thing in Houston too.
He played bad, but I give him a pass. Simply because I think he needs a rest. I think he needs a good week rest, and he'll have the same effect that GP had coming in. Just getting a little bit of a rest where he's not starting, and he can get his legs back because he does look tired. But yeah, you look at that line in terms of Thiago, and you just go, there's not really a spot here for you, and you should be playing.
Yeah.
Go on loan, and maybe somebody will buy you.
Yeah.
Which sucks because until Coach Joe tweeted it, I didn't really know how much he had contributed. It didn't really feel like it.
Yeah.
But he's contributed a fair amount to the team. So I think it's a big loss. It's a big loss in the way that I would coach the team if I were Nick Cushing. So it sucks that I can't like live in this fantasy world where
you are the manager
or I sub him or something like that.
NYCFC.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I hope it's indicative of us bringing in another player. I think we just lost. I think losing him, we lost a realistic option for a few different positions on the field, whether it's left wing, if something is wrong with Tales or he's needed elsewhere, like in the 9, or Thiago at the 9, which I think you and Coach Joe have been sort of the two largest people, at least in the media scene, calling for that to...
Who are you calling fat?
That's not what I mean by largest. But you two were calling for him to be the guy at the 9 consistently to see if it can work, because obviously Tales wasn't. So unfortunately, we're not going to see that experiment pan out.
Nope, we got Santi 9 or false 9.
Santi 9. Or hopefully we have a 9 coming in, because
I like Gabe. I love what he gave to us.
Yeah,
I loved everything about his performance.
I think he
didn't put a foot wrong.
He to me, he did enough to give him some more time to see what happens. You're right. He looked almost adorable
in his little collar shirt after the game. He looked like a child.
I know.
And I just want to keep giving that kid opportunities. I think he's gonna give us much back if we give him some opportunities. Yeah,
and I think wrapping it up, one of my biggest takeaways, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head talking about it a little with Matty maybe needing a legs rest. Cushing talked about it in the post game. GP needing a legs rest. After the game, when the final whistle is blown, I see Kufre, Chanot, and Keaton, and these are 28-year-old, almost 28-year-old eyes staring across the length of an entire stadium trying to ID these players. So if it was somebody else, take my head off for it. But
could have been Turnbull.
It could have been anybody. But 4 people in orange kits for sure. As soon as that final whistle blows, just falling down, laying on their backs, like blown out, like legs are done. Well, whether it's an emotional dump because it did feel at the end like something might come, or if it's the legs that are gone. But either way, 3 or 4 of them going to the ground, and
Keaton would have been off the field.
Okay, so it wasn't Keaton.
So it's Turnbull.
Could have been. But yeah, I mean, visibly exhausted, whether that's an emotional or a physical dump. I think you're right that some of these guys probably need some legs rest. Obviously, it's still week 6. And although they're athletes, it is a lot to get back into it after preseason, and as incompatible or as inconsistent our preseason was. I mean, sometimes we're playing 2 games a week and it's half NYCFC 2 guys, half first team guys.
Right.
And then sometimes we're not playing for 2 weeks at a time. It's obviously a lot to come back into it. So I think you're right. Some legs rest is needed. Obviously next game is Atlanta United at Citi Field on your birthday. It'll be a massive game. I'm not too excited to see Thiago Almada coming to New York, because that is going to be a scary sight for sure.
Nobody better be giving up any free kicks. I'll say that. No free kicks.
But yeah, that'll be an interesting one. I think at least being in Citi Field, I feel like vibes are usually pretty good. So hopefully at the very least, we're walking out of there with a point. But
I have to go try some of that new Citi Field food.
I was gonna ask if you had any numbers calling to you related to the scoreline or anything. If not, that's okay too.
I'm turning 26.
Well, I don't think we're gonna win 6-2.
I don't think so either.
I hope they're not gonna win 6-2.
They're not gonna 2-6 us.
Nah. Who? Acevedo was number 26. I don't think we have one now.
I don't know. I don't have any.
Ledesma's 20 and Sands is 6. I don't know if that could mean anything funky with the universe, but
I think we win that 2-0.
2-0.
2-1.
Damn. I was gonna say we keep Almada off the score sheet.
I think 2-1.
What
Almada
defense
free
is
kicks
doing
us.
that?
Honestly, we go down 1-0 to an Almada free kick, and we win 2-1.
Damn. So buy your tickets.
I wanted to say the last thing on the Revs. You should be better. Like, you should be better. You should be better than you are. I would get it together. I think the fact that you have Bruce Arena as your head coach is holding you back. I think he's past it. I think the fact that you have Bobby Wood, Altidore, and Boo, and Gil all on your team, and you have 8 goals this season, is simply embarrassing, and you need to do better.
And Buck, who's supposed to be this wonder kid. I saw a T-shirt. They were saying they had like Buck season T-shirts, like for hunting, but for this kid. But he was unfortunately the one that was marking Tales when that header went in. So
do better.
Buck's
your
pack
team
was getting
is
smoked.
pretty dog for having those players and having 8 goals this season. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
that's pretty embarrassing. I'll end it on this. In the preseason, they were comparing the both of our teams, and basically going into the game, they had 2 more goals than us, and I think maybe had conceded 1 more or 1 less. So there really wasn't a huge difference in that. And the announcers couldn't figure out why we were in one position and they were in another.
Mm-hmm.
News Apple TV announcers, 2 goals equals 2 draws. If we score 2 more goals, those are wins, and we're in a higher position. That's math.
I was going to say, you hit him with the MJ, and I took that personally. And now I'm going to just go in on the entire rest.
Because that is so dumb.
Yeah.
Obviously, if we score 2 more goals and don't have 2 draws, then we're in a higher position in the league.
It's like John Madden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we score more touchdowns today, we're going to win.
Yeah. Score more touchdowns than the other team, you'll win the game.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Simple math. Simple. Score more goals than the other team, you'll win.
Yep.
But yeah, that's 95. Looking forward to the Atlanta game. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, whatever, make sure to follow on that platform. Or if you're on YouTube and you've seen our set here devolve into a moody, poorly lit bedroom, that's because that is what we're recording in. And we, for once, recorded during the daytime, but it has become night throughout the course of the last 37 minutes. So
if you're wondering why we're better looking now than we were maybe 15 minutes ago, that's
I was gonna say, or why we look like ghosts. That is the reason. We appreciate y'all for sticking around this long. Give us a sub on here, like the video, leave a comment if we angered you about anything or if you agree with anything. All of that helps the algorithm. And then at Post90Pod on every platform where you can find us. Super cool conversations going on.
Definitely.
So catch you guys next week.
Peace.